What's going on there, guys? We back with another one, and today we got to talk about Stephen A. Smith and Chiney Ogwumike, and her calling out something Stephen A. Smith said on his podcast last night. Now the discussion was much more, I ain't gonna say civil, but they were able to talk today without as much emotion involved in it. Although Shannon and Molly had an emotional point during the conversation today. I feel like the conversation went a whole lot better, and the Gwen K handled it like a professional. Stephen A. seemed to be still fuming with Monica a little bit, but for TV, they were able to talk, and he constantly reminded everybody that he loves her and all that, like overly to the point where it's still bothering him a little bit. But um, one thing that he said on his podcast that went viral yesterday is, how he kind of brought Molly, Monica, Chanae, Andrea, how he's kind of helping them blow up. The tone of what he said is kind of been viewed as him saying he made them. And it kind of sounded like that. And he's done similar things, right? He talked about over and over again on his podcast, if I didn't want you on First Take, you wouldn't be there. And so he's saying this about Ryan Clark. He's saying this about Stephen A. Smith and everybody else. So people think it's a bit of narcissism in that when he exercises or flexes that. And so that didn't go unnoticed by Chiney Ogwumike. So we're going to look back at what Stephen A. Smith said, and we're going to check out what she said today and how she slid it in during the segment where they were talking about the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, and all the discourse surrounding that topic. Let's peep.
You ever heard of Monica McNutt? You have now, because she's on First Take a lot. Chiney Ogwumike, absolutely wonderful, spectacular basketball analyst, etc., WNBA player in her own right. Ask her how it's been to be on First Take. How about Andrea Carter, who's a rising star in this business? How much do you think First Take helped that? What about Kimberly Martin? What about Molly Qerim herself? Now, I have sat back for years and taken a lot of shit from people.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Monty. And I think a lot of conversation has also spilled over to why we, Monica and I, and so many women, Molly included, have seats at the table. And when you occupy a space that is not necessarily built for us, Monty does a fantastic job with the New York Knicks. I'm covering NBA Countdown. You need allies. And there are a lot of people that contribute to our success in these spaces. Stephen A, Shannon, Stephen A, you've brought me on First Take for a long time, since before people knew my name. Shannon, you brought Monty on yesterday to continue the conversation. I think that's fascinating. But when it comes to who made us, who made me, Monica, Molly, I mean, this is me personally. I'm made by God. I'm made by Peter and Kiki Ogwumike, and by our hard work and ethic and also our perspective. And we are products of a game that has transformed our lives, but we are also witnessing the intersection of. I think it's very important that we continue to lean into the voices that not only have lived the game, but understand it and can advocate it, but also keep it real. And I think yesterday what the world witnessed was keeping it real, but also keeping it together today because we're all here.
Yeah.
Appreciate you saying that.
Molly, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
You hear Molly Qerim, really start the amen in the background and rooting on, and Monica McNutt was sipping her tea and doing all types of things in the background when they were saying that. So they were all thinking it and wanting to say it. But Chiney Ogwumike delivered that without making it, such a viral bickering type of thing. You could tell like Chiney knows how to voice her concerns and her opinions in a way where it doesn't have to be divisive, but I'm going to let you know. And it seems like if you keep playing with Chiney, then she will go off the handle a little bit. But she know how to handle herself in those rooms. And I think that comes from her seasoning. Because I remember when Chiney started, she wasn't as good, as an analyst as she is now. Now it's effortless to her. Just like anybody who steps into the profession. I remember Jalen Rose, when he first started talking about basketball, he didn't do a good job. He wasn't natural. He didn't look at the camera the right way, all kinds of stuff. I don't want to get too far off, but I'm just saying that just to kind of give props to Ogwumike's professionalism and the way that she addressed Stephen A. Smith. And people will always feel kind of defensive when you act like you made them completely, or like you're solely the reason that they are getting the opportunities and are in the position they are in at this point. Because obviously and Stephen A knows this, there are steps to get to where you're at. You need someone like Stephen A. Smith in place to help, absolutely. But there are steps. You got to start smaller, and they've worked themselves up from wherever it was. Now, Chiney and them obviously played at a high level, so there was a little bit more visibility there from them out the gate. But you cover smaller things, you do well at that, and then you start to have the opportunity to get in the larger journalistic opportunities. And so when you say that you're the reason, or you imply that you're the reason someone is where they're at, they're going to get defensive, because it's like, wait a minute. You took notice because I did what I did to get where I was. So you can kind of see the avalanche coming, or you recognize that someone else would have grabbed me as a talent and you wanted me on your team for a reason. That's going to be the position of the people that's moving up in journalism. And Stephen A's position is like, well, yeah, and I've done all that too. I was working at Archdale. I was doing all types of stuff on a lower level. Got up, Philadelphia Inquirer later, got the ESPN first time, fired, now back, thanks to Skip Bayless, and now I am the top guy over there at the network. And so he's saying, yeah, but I can help you get there faster, and all things can be true. You should be able to have these conversations, though, because Stephen A. talks about how first take is first. And I think when you have some people that really oppose you at times and really go at you and make you uncomfortable, that's going to be good for the ratings. Now, another story with this, though, is ESPN going to pay Stephen A. what they need to pay him to keep him? Because Stephen A. has made it very clear that he won't be back. And I think you're starting to see Stephen A. kind of speak his mind a little more, just based on the looming contract negotiations and his desire to be free. He built the whole studio in his place, so Stephen A. is looking at attacking it like that from a more independent level, where he can take his content and get it licensed, to different networks or different brands, right? It ain't necessarily got to be a television network. It could be something like The Volume or wherever it may be. So, yeah, man. So I think that's where it came from. Stephen A. has worked all these years to get into a power position, and so when he sees somebody young like them, he might feel a little underappreciated for what he does for journalists at the network. And the journalist at the network is like, the way you talking is a little condescending and kind of takes away from my hard work. So I hope that's what both parties take away from it, and they just continue to move forward, man. But let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.